Do you want to learn the secrets of trading? The truth is, too many investors know the struggles of trading. Now let's find out what worked and what didn't with their personality, as these successful investors share their trading journey with us.
Hello and welcome, folks, to A Trading Journey. I am your host, Ryan Faluna, and I am honored to be here with Sandman, longtime Benzinga Pro member and veteran trader of quite a bit. So, Sandman, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about who Sandman actually is.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. Well, I've been trading for most of my life. I mean, started at a very early age, and even when I was, going to school and college, and after that, I pretty much kept up with trading, and but didn't become a full-time trader until 1987. I was 29 years old when I did that, and I worked at Standard & Poor's, and left to trade full time, and it's been that way since. I just trade for myself. Never did it for anybody else. So it's just been on my own since that time. Never looked back.
So you've been your own boss this entire time.
Been my own boss. That's one of the advantages.
Awesome.
That's one of the good things.
Absolutely. So how did you get started in this? Did you see Wall Street or something? What was it? What was that initial?
No. Listen, so it really begins at a very early age. I mean, I guess it's going to sound, at the risk of sounding a bit nerdy about it, but I was really interested in stocks as a kid. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the numbers and the daily fluctuations and all, but I used to write them down. I could have been 7, 8, 9 years old. So I had that. I think that was probably, from my parents, that piqued that initial interest. And so that's really where it kind of began. And I was trading an account before I was of age, maybe 16, 17 years old. So I had that experience as well. And I used to go down to 777 Summer Street in Stamford, Connecticut. There's a Merrill Lynch office there. And it's when we still had a tape. And when you hit a symbol in the quote machine, it gave you a paper ticker. Right? This is horrible, but it's true. I'm really dating myself here. But that would have been in the depths of the recession, and I used to spend my summers there. And it was me. I mean, I could have been what? I wasn't 16, 17. It was me and a lot of old retired Jewish men who had a lot of experience in the market, who had traded through the Depression, the Great Depression, and I'd hear all their stories. And that was an education all by itself. And one old guy in particular, his name was Sam, just kind of took me under his wing and would I don't think I've told this story before, but he would kind of give me pointers on the market and all. And it was kind of awful, because while I'm getting this education, these guys are watching their investments get ground to dust. And it was a horrible recession, 73, 74.
Yeah, no kidding. That sounds unbelievable. Now, you had mentioned starting trading when you were 16. So I guess I would say, in high school or college, what did you think your career was going to be? Did you know you were going to be a trader?
It's really interesting. It's a good question. I always thought that, this was my love. And so I didn't want to. I thought if I don't know why I got it in my head, but and this is as honest as I can be about it. I got it in my head that if I made what I loved my career, my job, my everyday thing, that would kill it. That it would kill my passion for it. And I didn't really find that out for sure until I did that. And that didn't happen until I was older and a bit wiser. But that's what it was. I mean, that's why I hadn't really intended necessarily to make trading, being a day trader, my life's work. But that's precisely what happened. And I don't know. Life is funny that way.
Indeed, we have.
Yeah.
So your major in college, how does that relate to trading, or does it not relate at all?
It does, but it relates in kind of a convoluted way, a roundabout way. My love and I was a classics major, classics and history, and really ancient history at that. So that was all kind of tied together. So double major. But I love that. And but what that gave me, I had my parents were working people. My dad was a factory worker. My mom went to work when she was later in life just to make sure we could all go to college. Mm-hmm. And my dad worked my dad worked 3 jobs. They're very hard workers, my folks. God rest their souls. Having the classics as a discipline is really, really kind of mind stretching, and it's good in that regard. So I had the privilege of, even though my folks were working people and all, and that's really all they knew in terms of their life. You worked hard and you got ahead. I had the privilege of being able to go away to school and have a really great education, and I would be indebted to my folks, to that forever. And that discipline, the discipline that you have in terms of that pursuit, I think gives you the tools you need to be a trader. To think well, to think about all the different aspects of a trade. And I get that question all the time. How do you decide something? Why that and why not that? There's so many things that go into that, making that decision, that it's always, I try to, I'm always happy to try to convey as much as possible of that, but so many different things go into that. And it's everything you've accumulated in your brain, your life experience, everything you've read, everything you can call upon always goes into making a trade decision, which takes a second. And it's just a lot of different things. So it's always a very tough thing for me to kind of put in a nice package and try to show somebody, but it's the truth of it. It's really the truth of it.
That's awesome. I mean, history, that there's a saying in the market, if you're looking at a chart, look to the left, and that's history is kind of the major of looking to the left. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's everything that you do. I mean, and because really, when you think about it, I mean, the market really, so much of the time is really a lot about human emotion. Yep. I mean, it's not only about the data that's coming in, but then how do people react to that data? Yep. You always get, well, gee, the news was good. Why is it going down? The news was bad. Why is it going up? Why is the stock going up? Well, you have to understand a lot more than just the numbers, and it's more about expectations and how human beings are going to react to it. And those are things you learn just living life. So.
Absolutely. All right. So tell us, what is your biggest winner? Do you have a story around your biggest winner?
No, I always tell the story about Larry Sigler, but that wouldn't have been the biggest one. Oh my God. I know. Well, I'll tell this story because actually it was a larger trade. There was a company. I mean, in the medical profession, there was always the holy grail of artificial blood, because it's always such a problem when you have to, ask people to donate blood and all. And there's always a quest on for some type of substitute for what we have in our veins. And there was a little company called Alliance Pharmaceutical, I think in Otisville, New York. And back then, when I was a young trader, all I traded were equity options, and I'd done a lot of research on it. And probably it was foolhardy at the time because I didn't realize just how difficult the actual attaining of that goal would be. Nevertheless, I bought a lot of options, a lot of stock options in this thing, in all different series. It was a cheap stock. It was in the mid single digits, I believe, at that time. And I probably had in excess of 1,000 call options. So back then, if you were involved in the market at all, there was a ritual every Friday evening, which was Louis Brookhiser on Wall Street Week, and everybody watched it. Everybody watched that show. So he always had his regular panel on, and he also always had a special guest. And I don't, for the life of me, remember the dear woman's name that he had on as a special guest that week, but he had her on, and he was asking what she thought about the market, and was talking about this and talking about that. And finally, and this is exactly how he phrased the question, because I remember it very well, he did say it this way. He said, if you had to take one stock and put it in a box, just put it away and open it up in a year, what would that stock be? And of course, she says Alliance Pharmaceutical. So Monday morning, I have to wait, obviously, until trading in options begins, but the stock is way, way up. And there's no pre-market trading, but it's indicated much higher. So I have an idea that I'm going to be very, very happy. And when the stock opened up, there's of course a little bit of a lag in terms of putting the calls in. And I didn't want to step on my own show in terms of showing them too much in the way of offers and stuff. So, and I had a whole bunch of different series. And back then, I'm not on a computer doing this. I'm doing this on a phone with a broker. Mm-hmm. I'm giving him instructions on how to put these things in. But literally, this stock went up so fast that I put in an order with how to use limit orders. Otherwise, I was afraid they'd kill me. So I'd put a limit order and say, 4, sell 50 at 4. And by the time I was getting these orders back, they were giving me 1.5, 2 points over my limit price. So needless to say, when I finished selling the whole lot, which again was well over 1,000 contracts, I mean, it was upwards of $1 million on the net of the trade. So that was probably the largest trade, I guess.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Buy the rumor, sell the news. Sounds like it worked out perfectly for you. So, yeah. All right. So on the other side of that, how about a biggest loser?
Oh, I will tell you, it was I don't remember the name of the company, but it was a small bio company. And I always tell this story to people because as a cautionary tale, because they had a specific date for data to come out. And so I felt comfortable holding it. And the whole idea was to trade into the news. In other words, beforehand, a lot of times people are very hopeful, stock will trade up, and I don't hold for data. I didn't then, I don't now. And before the open, once again, no pre-market trading, no trading before 9, or I guess would have been 8:30 or 9. Opening time was different. But anyway, no pre-market trading. They reported their data and it was a failure. And I had a lot of shares, and I tried to, my order was to sell on open, and it was over 6 figures. It was over 100, probably $110,000, $120,000 loss. And had I not taken that, it would have been almost double that. Sometimes I always tell people this: when you're in a situation like that, your first loss is your best loss, and just get out. So I sold on open. It turned out to be the best I could have done in a really bad situation. But that happened. In other words, so I say, even if a company says, well, we're not going to report till the 25th, and they report on the 24th or the 23rd or whatever the heck it was, that really was a blind side. And, it's really funny. When I always tell this story too. I don't have the temperament to trade. Right? Or I don't. I'm up and down and whatever. When I trade, I'm somebody else, and I just don't really let things, plus or minus me one way or the other. So when something like that happens, am I happy about it? No, but you just go forward. In other words, it's gone. It's happened. It's behind you. And likewise, even with when you make a lot of money, which sometimes can be more stressful than losing money, it's the same. So I treat everything kind of like Kipling, you treat all the wins and the losses pretty much the same way, and you always keep the same discipline that makes you successful. But you don't change it because you did well. You might change it if you did poorly all the time, but presumably if you're a successful trader and you've already attained that, you just want to kind of keep the same routine day in, day out. And that's what kind of gets you through. And that happens, I'm talking about it in kind of this broader sense, of trading in general. That goes on during an hour in a day or within a day. I mean, in other words, you always have to be telling yourself that, if something's gone wrong or something's gone right. You just have to, again, just stay within yourself. I joked in the room today. I joked in the Benzinga room today, and I said, in the morning there were a couple of really dynamic trades that worked out really well, and I said I was coloring outside of the lines. I need to start coloring back inside the lines. So what I meant by that was I probably was too aggressive, and it happened to, it happened to work out for me. But you really don't want to be doing that. You really don't want to be going outside of what you normally would do. You want to keep to your regular strategy.
And that's actually a perfect segue into my next question, which was going to be, how do you reconcile your trading strategy with your personality? So I think you touched on a lot of that already in what you just said, but if you could summarize that would
it's really funny because, I know that that's true now, and I don't know where it happened along the way. It must have happened a long time ago, whereby, because I can remember. I remember, you asked me what my biggest loss was. I think the biggest loss wasn't nearly traumatic as my first big loss.
Mm-hmm.
And I was young. I think I was 18. I think I was 18 when it happened, because I was trading legally with my own account. And, I was, again, an options trader, and I shorted calls on IBM, I believe it was. And I got zinged at the end of the day. It was some kind of program or whatever. They had different instruments then, but they still had them. I think it was an XMI or whatever. And anyway, it was about a $25,000 loss, but I had never lost anything near that. This was a multiple of anything I'd ever lost. And I learned a good lesson that day, because I did something where I had an open-ended risk. Never happened again. So it really, in a way, it was a cheap lesson. But when it happened, I thought it was the end of the world. And I had to go home and tell my parents I lost $25,000. I don't think my father was a factory worker for Pitney Bowes. I don't know if he made that in a year at that point. I'm going way back. But still, it was a lot of money. And I can remember the feelings of that when I still recall it very well. But that kind of, as time went on, you learn to deal with those things, and you can't deal with them in an emotional way. And you can't let it, a bad trade doesn't define who you are. And then out of that, since you raised this, and I've already covered some of it, I will say this. This is what I do. I know that I do this well. I can have a horrible streak of trading, and I never doubt that I can trade. And I know I don't mean for it to sound, conceited or anything else, because I would be the first one to tell you there are a million things I can't do, that I don't do well, that I never will do well. But this I can do. And the reason I say it is because even though, and it's not about the monetary aspect of it, because if you do it well, okay, then you can always make a living, you make money, and that's all well and good. But it's important to have that, whether it's trading or whether it's being a good doctor, or whether it's doing manicuring a lawn and being a good landscaper. Whatever it is you do, whatever it is you're good at, nobody can take that away from you. And when times get tough, when you have difficult patches in your life, which you will, and which I of course had, I never doubted that. I always had that, because if you have that, then you have something. It's kind of like a hook. It's kind of like a rock. And it got me through some very, very tough times. There was just something that I knew that I could do. It didn't matter that it was trading. It could be something different for somebody else. But it's just kind of a good life lesson. I don't ever doubt my ability to do that. And it helps. And I guess it ties into the notion of, if things aren't going well, aren't going the way that I want them to go, I never doubt that they will eventually turn and go well. I never doubt that. I don't say, oh my God, I can't trade anymore, whatever. Sometimes it could seem like it. You're only as good as your last trade. But it's just something to keep in mind for whatever it is you do. To remember that that's what you're good at. That's what you can do, and that's something. It's something to have that, and it's important for people to be able to hang on to that.
Awesome. So, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give yourself on day one of your trading journey?
Oh my God, what a question! What a question! Be more patient.
That's a good one.
Really,
I often am telling myself
that's really
that.
simple. That's really simple. Be more patient.
That's
And,
that's awesome and very easy to understand. So
well,
not easy to master, but easy to understand.
invariably, I'm really big into the mentoring and all. I do love to do it. Invariably, it becomes a life lesson. It's not just a lesson about trading. It's about a lesson in how you live your life, and how you go about because we all struggle with that every day. You want to try and be the best person you can be, and uh, it invariably comes back to having patience, not just in trying to uh, achieve your pursuit, whether it's trading again or whether it's something else in life, but it's having patience with one another, having patience with the people we love, having patience with people you don't love. It's really important to do that and to stop back and think. And I think it's more. I've always felt this. I've always felt the things I'm telling you right now. But in the world we live in now, it seems even more. It seems even more that we have to remember to do that, because I do think there are things that everybody can agree on. There are certain core things that everybody would say, that's something we would all believe, or that's something we would all want. And we don't focus on those things anymore. We've gotten so far away from that. It seems that we focus on the things that we can agree on. And those are going to happen too. And it's okay not to agree with somebody, but it's not okay not to respect somebody. So, it's a big thing with me, as you know.
Yep.
So
That's a great answer. Honestly, that's a great answer. So my last question here is, are you still pushing the limits of your trading skills? Are you sizing up, or are you comfortable with your system to where you're just rinse, repeat every day?
Oh boy, if I answer that really honestly, I not that I don't want to answer it honestly. There's an issue out there with uh, active traders who 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 will push it. And for me, I mean, what else would I do? I'm a day trader. In other words, I'm trying to succeed in a day. At the end of each day, I want to have succeeded. And I think uh, with the advent of firms selling their order flow, that has become an issue, because some traders order flows are toxic to the people who buy them, and so that forces a brokerage to do something. And if the brokerage has said, we're not going to pay for that order flow, what does the brokerage do? Especially now with zero commission.
Yeah.
They want to be paid. They want to be paid. They want to be paid for their order flow. So that causes problems. I mean, I'm not the only trader. I mean, you talk to other traders who have had that issue at certain firms, but nothing's for free. And I don't know if I'll live to see it, a different way in which markets are made. But I'm not a big fan of the current system. But hopefully, um, hopefully it'll change one day.
All right. That is awesome. Sandman, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it, taking us down your trader's journey. I hope that all of you out there find this helpful in your journey. So thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate
I
it.
want to thank you, Ryan, and I want to thank Benzinga for giving me the opportunity to be a mentor to a lot of different people. And if any of you out there are struggling or having an issue, get in touch. I'm always happy to help. I'm free. I don't charge for what I do, and I do like helping other traders. So, but just be deliberate in what you do, and enjoy it, and give yourself time to do it. There's no rush to learn how to trade. I know a lot of people are taking it up now, and it's become quite a thing that people have a lot of different opinions about. Most of it, you hear the negative part of it, but it doesn't have to be a negative thing. But give yourself time to learn, and see how it works out for you.
I can say for certain you have helped me on my journey. So I see every day all of the other people that you help. So again, really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ryan.